Hey YouTube, what's up? Welcome back to The Practical Life. I'm Ashley Nicole, and thank you for coming back to my channel. Welcome to another live. Good afternoon. Today we have a big discussion, right? Today's live is going to be about goal setting. And firstly, I just want to thank you all for coming back to my channel. Thank you for sticking in there with me. We are almost to the end of the year. We are in October. Can y'all believe it? We are in October. Today is October 3rd to be exact. And so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about goal setting as we're nearing to the end of the year. And this is the time where we kind of start to reflect on the goals that we've had for the year, if you haven't already, and kind of start to think about, what your goals and if you've met them and what needs to be modified and things like that going towards the end of the year. I cannot believe we are going to be in 2023 soon, y'all. Like, that's crazy. I can't believe it. But this channel is all about mental health. This is where you can get your questions answered for yourself or someone else. On this channel, we try to make sure that everything regarding mental health is not a taboo topic, right? We're able to kind of talk about it, talk through it, learn from different situations, and know how to kind of move forward. So if you have any questions about mental health or you need any resources or anything like that, all of my information will be in the description box below. So let's get to it. So again, today we're going to be talking about goal setting. And I want you all to think about, where are you right now with your goals? Like, I know in one of my previous videos, when I talked about consistency and making sure you were consistent, will ensure that you kind of meet your goals. But where are you in that process? There have been a lot of things going on, including a huge hurricane, which caused a lot of, chaos and unexpected things to happen in people's lives and things like that. And so sometimes when you are feeling like you're being consistent and feeling like you are getting towards that bigger goal, you experience a setback. Right. And so today, what I'm going to do is give you some practical ways to be able to kind of get over those setbacks so that you're still able to be motivated to meet your goals. So now I know everyone has heard this saying, right? And I feel like I heard this saying when I was young, like probably in high school, that a setback is a setup for a comeback. That's like a popular saying, right? But it's really true. In some cases, when you have a setback, you have to somewhat learn from that, and I'll get into it, right? But you have to learn from that setback. And sometimes, in some situations, you need a setback to kind of get you back on track. So we'll talk about that as well. So in my video regarding, or my live regarding consistency, I talked a lot about SMART goals. And this is important because if you started off with a SMART goal, then it'll be easier for you to kind of get back on track if you are experiencing a setback, because you know specifically what your goal is, how you're going to meet it, that it is attainable for you, it's realistic, it's time sensitive. So if you have your goals set up in that particular way, it's going to be even easier for you to kind of get back on track. So keep that in mind. I'll link that live below so that you all can kind of go back and look at that and review it if you need to modify your goals in that way. Now, again, what if you've been consistent with your goals and trying to meet them, but then you experience a setback? And so what is a setback, right? I'm sure everyone knows, right? But it depends on your situation. A setback for me could look different for someone else, right? So on and so forth. But as I mentioned, the recent hurricane, it not only affected a particular area severely, but it affected this whole state of Florida, right? And then also that hurricane affected, was it North Carolina? One of the Carolinas. So or South Carolina. So, there have been so many people affected by this storm, and surely a lot of them had goals that they were trying to meet. A lot of them were in the middle of trying to meet their goals, setting up goals, doing different things, right? And so this was a setback for them. Um, Something like an accident, an injury could be a setback. If you are a person who experiences severe depressive symptoms or severe anxiety, sometimes with mental health, it's a little bit tricky. Some weeks, some days, some months, you may feel like you're doing well, right? Your symptoms are not as severe as they were before. And then all of a sudden, they are, right? Your symptoms start to be a little bit more severe. You felt like you were on track, but now it's like you're kind of spiraling down. You're going back to that place that you were before. So it's kind of getting a little bit tougher for you to be able to meet your goals. So that can be a setback for some people. Family obligations. For those of us who are busy moms, we know this all too well. You have, your own expectations of what you're going to do for the week or for the month, right? And then all of a sudden something is thrown in the mix, and you may have to kind of shift or pivot your focus to something else for the time being. But how do you? And for some people, it just depends on what it is. It could become a setback because it could be. Have you all ever heard of the saying, when it rains, it pours? Or it's one thing after another, or it's always something, right? So that means that one thing happens that kind of puts you back in the previous place, and then something else happens, something, and they all kind of compound on each other. And then before you know it, you're not meeting the goals that you have for yourself. You're not focusing on yourself. So that can be a setback, right? So this is I'm going to go into 5 ways, right, that you are able to kind of stay motivated when you have a setback. And probably within the 5 ways, I will go ahead and I'm going to expound upon them. So there may be even more in here, but there are 5 main ones that I have. So the first one is, when you experience a setback, you need to ensure that you are allowing yourself to feel the feels. And Ashley, what do you mean by that? Make sure that you acknowledging your feelings about having a setback, acknowledging that you are frustrated about not being able to meet your goal at this point, because we're not saying that you're not going to meet it, right? It may be pushed back a little bit, right? Or you may not have met the goal during the time frame that you expected or that you had written down, right? um but you need to make sure that you feel the feels and acknowledge how you are feeling. So that way you can move through it. You can move past how you're feeling to be able to kind of get where you want to be. But this is key too. Don't fall into toxic positivity. I did a video on this as well. Instead of what some people do, instead of acknowledging that they are frustrated, they're angry, they're sad about something, they get into the mode of just saying, well, things happen for a reason. Well, I probably didn't want to work on that anyway, so it's okay. Oh, that's okay. I'll do it next month. Or I'm just grateful for where I am right now. It's fine. But really, you are feeling frustrated. You are feeling sad about the situation. You are feeling angry. You're feeling disappointment, right? So you need to make sure that you don't engage in the toxic positivity, because it can be toxic. Because if you continue to do that, all you're doing is suppressing how you really feel. So you want to make sure that you are expressing what your feelings are, whether that be through journaling, talking to someone you trust. That includes going to therapy. Maybe you kind of try to distract yourself by exercising, whatever it might be, whatever kind of helps you through that. Make sure that you are expressing those feelings, right? Number two, when you have a setback, you need to take a moment to pause and reflect. So now what? We're in October. The holidays are coming up. 2023 will be here. I can't believe I'm saying it. 2023. 2023. Like, that sounds kind of weird when you think about it. 2023. Wow. Um you need to pause and reflect, right? And think about, like, what is the current perspective that you have on the goals that you had, right? Are you feeling like you need to maybe modify the goal? Are you feeling like you're in a different place now? So maybe this is something that I may not need to work on right now, or something that I may need to kind of, pause and put towards future goals. Is it something where you may not have the resources to kind of do it right now? So kind of pause and reflect on, how you've been progressing with that particular goal, and what may be needed for that goal, what things you may need to take away and again modify. Um, this is also a time for you to again become clear about what you really want, what you really need as far as these particular goals. Sometimes when we're writing down, our goals that we have for the month or the year or whatever, we have all these different things. It could be like 20 things that people have written down and that you want to do, which is good, means that you are feeling empowered, you're feeling inspired, you want to do a lot of things. Maybe you have a lot of passion about different things, right? But you want to make sure that you're clear on at least one thing specifically, and you want to focus on that. So pausing and reflecting will allow you time to get a little bit more clear on how you want to continue to approach this goal that you have. Um, and also another big thing too within that is to evaluate your priorities. Now, this could go back to people that are busy moms, or you're just a busy family, right? You have a lot of activities and things like that going on. You have a busy job, you give a lot of your time to your job. You need to evaluate based on the goals that you have, evaluate the priorities. And sometimes everything is a priority. Like, who can identify with that? Who can relate? Everything is a priority. Like, you know how when you make that checklist, like me, I'm a list person. So I'm writing down, I have a thousand lists. I'm writing down 1, 2, 3, 4. But then when you look at it, you're like, everything should be number one. So it is truly a skill to know how to prioritize the priorities. And if you all want me to do a live one day, let me know. If you're watching the replay in the comments, please let me know, and I'll do a live one that. But prioritizing priorities is definitely a skill. You've got to know what's most important. You've got to know what things on your list are the most challenging. You've got to know the time frame in which you need to get it done. Like, there are a lot of things that kind of go into that, but there is a skill in knowing how to prioritize priorities. And sometimes that's what you have to do to be able to meet your goal. So when I'm saying pausing and reflecting, you are kind of evaluating, okay, is this really a priority right now? Like, should I be adding this to my list? Like, how important is it to me to be able to meet this particular goal in this particular time frame? Let's see what else. Also, when we talk about reflecting, you want to reflect on your why, right? It's kind of like you're going back to the beginning of when you said, okay, these are the goals that I want to reach, right? So, why do you want to do this goal? How is it going to benefit you? How is it going to benefit others around you? How is it going to affect you? Again, what resources are you putting towards this particular goal? And you may find out, or when you're pausing and reflecting, you may think about, okay, well, I'm depleting all of my resources to kind of meet this goal. And is that something that's beneficial to me right now? Right. So that goes all into pausing and reflecting and thinking about, is this something that you really need to do right now? All right. Um, number three. Okay. Number three is making sure that you are learning the lessons. So, what do I mean by that? So, anytime you have a setback, sometimes a setback needs to happen, right? We said a setback is a setup for a comeback, right? So, sometimes when it is a setback, there is a lesson in that. It may be a lesson to tell you that you need to slow down. Like, you trying to do too much right now. Like, okay, this the goal, that's fine. That's all fine and good. But right now, you got to slow it down or continue to make progress with your goals, but go go a little bit, go in small increments. Try to meet your goal in small increments. And then that way it'll also be more valuable to you, right? And you can kind of really celebrate when you get to the end and in meeting your goal, to say, hey, I did this to meet this goal, and I did it, right? So sometimes there are lessons um, in setbacks. And also, if you think about it, and if you think about all the things that have kind of happened in your life and setbacks that you have had, it's almost like lessons repeat themselves until you learn the lesson. Like, the same thing is going to continue to happen until you're able to kind of recognize, okay, this is the reason why this is happening. Let me figure this out. Let me do something different to where this is not going to happen again. So a setback, especially too, when big things happen, like for example the hurricane, right? And those people, they are going through a lot. Houses were destroyed, structures were destroyed, people have lost their transportation, things like that. There could be lessons in those particular things, right? And sometimes, y'all, it's hard to allow yourself to learn the lesson. It may be a lesson where it's like you don't want to hear it. You don't want to accept what you need to learn, but nevertheless, you need to learn it. You see what I'm saying? So it's better to just say, okay, let me think about it. What is the lesson in this? What could I have done differently? I can't control this, but then on the flip side, this is what I can control, if that makes any sense. Let's see. Okay. Also within that is, and I know this is like a cliche, people say this all the time, and it could also kind of go in the same vein as toxic positivity. And when I say that, I'm talking about being grateful, right? You hear it all the time. You should just be grateful. Or, if you practice, and say what you're grateful for every day, like you'll have a more positive outlook, right? And it's true, but like I said, it could go into that same line and same vein of toxic positivity. However, could also help you with as well, because it's almost like you're looking at it from a different perspective, right? And what I'm saying is that I recommend you practice that. But also, when you talk about the toxic positivity part of it, also practice feeling the feels. You don't want to always be in this space of just saying, you know what, I'm just grateful when you really don't feel that way, if that makes any sense. So for example, if someone who has lost their job or something like that, of course, in that moment, you may be frustrated, you may feel, upset, sad, disappointed, things like that. It's okay to feel that way, but then also being grateful includes looking at it from a different viewpoint, looking at it from a different vantage point, a different perspective of saying, okay, well, I lost my job. Now let me think about it. Did I really enjoy that job? Right? Was I able to still spend time with my family when I had that job? I was giving all of my time and my hours, to a particular job or company, right? Was I able to still, spend time with my family? Was I still able to kind of focus on some of the things that I really love to do? So you can kind of look at it from that way too and say, okay, well, if I really didn't enjoy it. It was just really a job, right? A place where I went, I did my job and I got paid for my job. I really didn't enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy my coworkers, things like that, or what have you, whatever it might be. Then you can look at it from the perspective that, okay, now since I lost it, even though I lost it, I'm in a different position to where I have a choice. I can decide what it is that I really want to do, right? I can improve my mental health, right? You may be a little bit more happy since you lost that job, right? Because you were giving all of your time and energy to it. Now you're able to choose where your time and energy is going, if that makes any sense. So that's just a little example about gratefulness. Number four, making sure that you spend a few minutes every day on yourself. Why? To recommit to your goals. So that could mean in the mornings you may meditate, in the evenings you might spend a few minutes meditating. For some people, it's reading motivational books or books regarding personal development, things of that nature. You may have a favorite podcast that you listen to. There are so many podcasts that talk about motivation and inspiring others and things like that. You may, again, exercise, going for a walk on a daily basis, just pouring into yourself. When you take care of yourself, it's going to be easier for you to commit to your goals going forward after having a setback, right? It allows you to not be able to kind of get down on yourself, to say, okay, this happened. Let me spend a few minutes every day focusing on myself, pouring into myself again, and I'm going to get right back on track. This is going to give you again the energy to continue to work on your goals and to be motivated. And the fifth thing that I have is developing a strategy to move forward, right? Because you've had the setback, you've paused, you reflected, you learned the lesson, you know what you need to learn, you know what the lesson is, you've pour it back into yourself. So now let's develop a strategy to move forward. And what that will include, that's going to include making sure that your goals are still in that SMART form, because that helps you to know how you're going to get there and what you need to do. It's kind of like if your goals are in SMART form, it's a gentle reminder to you, right? It's a gentle reminder. Okay, I know by December this is where I need to be, or I know by February this is where I need to be, and this is how I'm going to get there. Also, making sure that one of the lessons that could have been learned is that everything is not going to be perfect when you're trying to meet goals. And really, of course, in life, right, in general, and nothing is going to be perfect. So instead of trying to focus on perfection, focus on progress over perfection. You may not have met the goal by October 3rd, but okay, I've done some things to get there, and some things happened that were not in my control. There's nothing that I can do about it, but what can I control? Okay, I'm going to modify my goal, and now my end date is going to be November 3rd, right? But you know that you are progressing towards it, that you're moving towards something, and you're not staying stagnant. So, those are my 5 tips on how to stay motivated when you have experienced a setback and trying to meet your goals. Again, this is October, y'all. We are almost at the end of this year. We'll be in 2023 before you know it. And usually people kind of look at their goals in the middle of the year, right? And I think sometimes we have these rules, right, to say, okay, in June we look at the goals that we had, from January to see if we're meeting our goals, and then we focus on new goals, right? We write new goals for the second half of the year, things like that. But don't get so caught up on these rules that everybody, has, right? Because you have to do what works for you. It's okay that we're in October and you're saying, okay, let me look at what goals that I have. Okay, I didn't meet this. I do want to meet that. It's okay for you to have a new goal in October, because this is your life, right? You are the one that is living it. You know what you want. You know what's going to kind of make you happy and things like that. So let go of all the noise. Let go of all the outside noise, and go inward, and write down whatever goals that you have, any new goals, review your goals. It's okay that it's October and that you're doing that, because again, we're talking about progress over perfection. So let me know what you all think. I hope this video was, or this live, I gotta make sure that I'm, sometimes I catch myself, but sometimes I don't. Like, sometimes when I rewatch my lives, I'm like saying video, but it's really a live. um but make sure that you all comment. If you're watching the replay, let me know what you all think about these 5 tips to stay motivated. Do you think it'll help you, or share some tips that you might have so other people can get that help as well? I wanted to make sure that I shared some practical ways to be able to kind of meet our goals and to help us kind of get back on track, after things have happened and you experience things that are not favorable, at this time to meet your goals. So please make sure also that you like, comment, and subscribe. For those who have subscribed thus far, I appreciate you so much. And for those who haven't, if you are inclined to do so, make sure you hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting on? This channel, again, is all about mental health. And this is where you can get your questions answered for yourself or someone else. I like to share easy and practical ways to kind of, help us through life and with personal development. And I also react to different videos when it comes to mental health related to trending stories and celebrities and things like that, so that we're able to kind of learn from them, learn from these situations, and help us in our own lives as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will see you all on the next one. And until then, bye.